better watch out if your enemies are broke ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets caught real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, lots of blood and gore. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of party. And if you start shit, you be hard-lived in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you let scars rip. You be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life.
On April 30th, we rise against fascism, erasure, and division. Marginalized veterans have served with honor, yet their stories are too often erased. We rally because their stories matter. Join us in DC, because remembering is resistance, and silence is not an option.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Voice of Reason. We are not doing our typical morons are governing America segment tonight.
Although they still are.
They are. They really are. But tonight is all dedicated to, we're attempting to fundraise. Is the main goal of this broadcast. We are planning or helping plan a protest. We've talked about it plenty of times now. Actually, ever since we got involved, we've been talking about it every single episode in Washington, D.C. on April 30th. That has multiple reasons. I mean, with so many protests going on across the country, it is hard to keep track of. This one is organized by veterans or family members of veterans. And is all about, protecting the veterans because they're trying to get the VA. They're basically just erasing any contribution of anyone that was black, brown, gay, trans, doesn't matter.
Not a white guy.
Right. So if you're not a white, cis male, apparently, or I guess that's a bad word according to them.
Oh, yeah, you can't call them by their scientific name. They don't like
right.
that.
God forbid. But yeah, that's actually happening. So one, we are veterans fighting against fascism. We are also trying to protect the VA, protect veterans against the onslaught, against their just, they were made a promise that if they served their country, that at least they would be taken care of after the fact, with medical and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of reasons that people join, or because they get funding for education. There's a lot of different benefits to joining the military. And that's all in jeopardy now. That is all in jeopardy now, thanks to the new fascist regime that has taken over the United States. We all know what is happening, what is at stake. We all know that Donald Trump is now talking about deporting American citizens to El Salvador.
Yep.
And we know that that does not involve any kind of due process. That involves you being picked up off the streets, put into shackles onto the back of a military plane, and shipped to a country where you never see a lawyer, you never see your family, you never see the light of day again.
I think what it comes to, and I think what today's show is really about, is the oath that people who choose to serve take, which is to defend the Constitution with their lives, and with their honor. And what we have happening every day, every hour in this country right now is a disrespect, a disservice, and a hate thrown not just on all American citizens, but the attacks on veterans are getting out of hand. And I think it's important to understand that when you take an oath, it's supposed to mean something. Donald Trump has already said his oaths don't mean anything. So there you go.
Yeah, so what I need all of you to do that are watching currently is please share this video on other platforms. Let people know what we are doing and that we are live right now, and what our purpose is, and that you can hopefully help us out. Like, we need... This stuff isn't free, okay? We're not on some kind of George Soros paid protester list. We apparently forgot to sign up for that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, doing protests is not free. There is quite a cost to it. And a lot of work, apparently. I did not know how involved helping organize a protest actually is. This is insane.
And that's why the people who are on tonight are teaching us what it really means to be someone who is pushing and spending their time to fight fascism in a way we weren't even aware was going on around us, and it's been truly awe-inspiring.
Right. So before we bring everybody on, let me go ahead. Actually, no, let me bring everybody on, and we'll talk about the oath and everything like that afterwards. So welcome back to the show. Everybody you have probably seen before. One person is returning that hasn't been on for quite a while. She was on one of our first original episodes.
Wow, yeah.
So Back to the show. We got Liz
insane.
Mkhitaryan, founder of Stop Moms for Liberty. We got Tom Seidel, the originator. This is his baby. We are just trying to help this move along. He is the originator of this protest. This was his idea. He and his wife have put a lot of effort into this behind the scenes, and I think I just heard her pop on as well.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yay.
We also have Diana Patton returning from Defense of Democracy. And I heard her, well, I don't see her, but I heard her pop on. Eventually, when she gets the camera turned on. Yeah, we know she's here. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's good to have everybody back. I think Tom's on mute.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. So how's everybody doing?
Doing real good, guys. Thanks for having this tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're so enjoying this process, and it's a weird experience to enjoy something that should not be necessary.
No,
let's point that out. None of this work that all of you are putting in, and so many people that aren't on here tonight, the amount of people working on just this one protest should not be necessary. Everyone here should be doing something far better with their time.
That's because veterans take care of veterans. Period.
So where do we want to start out tonight? So Tom, you, because we met originally, well, we had you on the podcast, and then we ended up meeting at the New York protest. So what made you really decide to want to do your own that specifically focused on veterans and diversity in the military?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of protests in the past. I've organized protests in my area, and every day is a protest for me anyway. You know, I'm always wearing my vest that has, inflammatory stuff to make, white supremacists uncomfortable. But
good.
I finally got off the things that were holding me back, legally. So now it's time for me to get back into the swing of things,
Nice.
You don't ever stop. You don't ever stop advocating, whether it's out on the front lines or if it's, on social media. And my job is to be out on the front lines.
No, I agree.
And I'm back.
Good.
So,
yeah, I didn't think I'd be on the front lines, but I was hoping we'd be celebrating, obviously, because we were all pretty devastated when Captain Dipshit got reelected to the White House. So we were not, I don't think any of us were expecting going down this road.
No, but it looks like we were more prepared than we thought. Like,
we knew what was coming. And it, honestly, what's happening right now is far even beyond my imagination. And I have a very active imagination. But now they're talking about, building concentration camps, death camps in South America.
They're talking about outsourcing them, which is a fascinating twist of capitalist hell we live in.
Yeah. So, respond to Amanda's post or a comment there. Yes, there is a website. It is fightagainstfascism.org. So it's FAFO. F around and find out. Sorry, I almost cursed Liz. I feel like when Liz is here, I feel like my mom is in the room with me and I can't say bad words. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's fucking find out.
I've never been hit with a ruler from a teacher, and I don't think Liz would be that, but your presence makes us try and be on our best behavior.
Right. I feel like Liz is going to throw an eraser at my head if I say something wrong.
And I want to say something real fast. Shout out to Diana and shout out to Jeremy for allowing me to get in touch with Liz. Because Liz has been a driving force in this effort. And between Liz, Diana, and my fiance collaborating together to make this what it is. Because let's face it, I'm all muscle, no brains, But,
hey.
So Jasmine, you're the brains. Welcome, Jasmine, Tom's brains.
Yeah, I just started working out, and I've realized that I'm a lot more brains than I am muscle. So,
and listen, I've been training for this day. I've been training for a long time, and I've been getting ready for the possibility of what's happening today.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we're here, but we have to embrace where we're at, and we have to work diligently to fight against what's going on.
Yes. So, all right, everybody, meet Jasmine. This is Tom's Calmer half? I don't know what you maybe not.
It depends.
Maybe not. On
day.
Right? Hi, Jasmine. This is Tom's wife, Jasmine. Welcome to the show. For this is your first time on the show, so yeah, welcome. This is
You got your promotion.
Right?
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved?
Other
than having to live
for
with
those
Tom.
of you who don't know, Tom and I actually met online during the pandemic on TikTok debating.
No kidding. That's
I
cool.
love that.
That's pretty
Who
cool.
won?
Yeah. We were just friends, I swear. It just happened. So I mean, but that shared interest in wanting to find common ground and like-minded people. It really drove us being closer. And the biggest factor that kind of pushed us to just kind of get this going was we're not yelling into the void, right? I think it was all fun and games like before and during the election to bark at the other half or what have you. But now it's like, all right, well, real things are happening and real people are suffering. So I need to see some sort of action being happen. And that's kind of where I took Tom's half-baked idea, and then I added a couple extra ingredients, and he found you guys, and here we are.
I know, it's actually amazing how all of us met and just kind of all tied in together. I mean, Liz definitely has been a vocal supporter of ours since the beginning, since we had like less than 100 subscribers, you know what I mean? So it's been really, I think the best part of this whole adventure has been just meeting all of you guys. I think it's been really cool meeting people that are like-minded. You know, I didn't know people out there thought the same way I did about social issues and stuff like that, because I was never on social media, so I didn't really know there was people out there that thought the same as me. So it is comforting. It's nice. So we have a lot to talk about though tonight.
If I could just take 1 minute.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say that I'm the daughter of a World War II veteran.
Nice.
And so, I grew up with a man that was, the focus of my life, who had shrapnel in his body. Was too touched by his service to actually be able to talk about it. I wish that I knew more about it. But he died when I was 14. And so I was not of an age where I could have really shown my respect for him. Yeah. And so I'm so personally tied to this effort because of that. And I wanted to explain the direct connection with Stop Moms for Liberty and this motion. It doesn't seem like it's related at, first glance. But if you look at what's happening, there is a tax on curriculum. And that's where Moms for Liberty has been focused, to get curriculum under their control, right?
Right. Like erasing history and all that.
Whitewashed history.
Yeah.
And, we've been fighting that in Stop Moms for Liberty across the country. But when it's now coming to trying to whitewash the history of our veterans within this country, no. So it's a collaboration that means a lot to me and to our organization. And actually, you see Diana's on here too, and Defense of Democracy has been fighting for education as well. And so it's folding together perfectly, this passion for protecting our veterans and their history, and us fighting for complete education across the country.
Yeah, because like I'm a vet,
just recently in Germany on active duty military base, they actually did exactly what Moms for Liberty wanted, and they whitewashed the history, got rid of anything LGBT out of the school, banned all the books, and the students actually walked out on a military base, even though it could have put their parents and stuff in trouble.
Because I grew up in the military, and I grew up in military schools. I was born in a military hospital. You know what I mean? I am the product of the military. And I was going to say, like, I am a vet, but again, like Liz, I'm the son of a vet who served this country for 22 years, with 2 wars, Vietnam and Desert Storm. Never spoke a word about Vietnam. The only thing I knew about my father is that he was a tunnel rat and a combat engineer. That's it. So I understand where Liz is coming from.
FYI, that's Jeremy's dad.
That's actually my dad sweeping for mines.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because we're in a time now where a lot of people are going to see less and less familial relation to people who not only served, but people who served in wars, or what we make distinctions of wars and combat actions and all that. Whatever. The point is, that was something that everyone had in common. Like when I grew up, everyone's grandpa or grandma or whatever was in Korea or World War II,
Right.
or everyone's uncle was in Vietnam, and so on and so forth. People not my age, but just a little over me, the Gen X people were going off to a Desert Storm and so on. But that connection is going to lessen the more wars are, industrialized and made with robots and all that. And to lose that connection makes history even more important. That's why education is more important. And again, Liz, just like you said, it may not always seem that all of these causes are connected. But when you have an assault on your entire country by a pure fascist movement without any scruples, okay, all of the different groups have to unite. Just like they want to keep the people divided between races, when in reality we're all more alike than we have anything to the rich people. Well, all of us have to fight because all of our legacies, all of our history, and everything we know is all wrapped up together. And they're attacking it. This isn't a theoretical. Tom, what's up?
No, I just wanted to point out what you said. So, like, whiteness has to do with wealth. When they started to promote whiteness in this country, they used that as a structure of wealth and class.
Yep. 100%.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Diana?
mean,
Wait, Diana had something.
Yeah, please.
One important thing too when it deals with education, we have to have smart people who go into the military. We have to have well-rounded, smart, educated people going into the military. You start messing around with public education, you're going to get a dumber military, and we're not going to be as effective.
And guess what happens? Not just with the ability for logistics and tactical thinking and all of that, but we have people that won't know the ability to tell right from wrong. They won't be able to discern an illegal order or an immoral order.
Right.
And that's what the
Unlawful
fascists
order.
want. They want little drones. That's it.
I think that's a good
An
time to
unlawful
actually
order
read.
under UCMJ. Yep.
Let me read the oath that you take when you join the military, because this is my hope. And again, I always say this because I hope soldiers remember they swore an oath to the Constitution, not Donald Trump. I do solemnly swear to or affirm that I will support, defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. So there is, they have. Oh my God, everybody's popping. I can't see a couple people. Maybe the internet connection's going down a little bit, but no, oath to the Constitution of the United States. Okay, you don't take an oath to the Donald Trump. Okay,
Whatever Sky Daddy you believe in.
And we have a veterans creed too.
Please,
if you'd like to hear it.
Yes,
please.
That's what we're doing here.
Do we have that on a slide, guys?
Oh, yep. Hold on, got it.
The Veterans Creed.
There you go.
Yeah, we have that.
Yep. I am a United States military veteran. I became a leader by my willingness to serve my country. I am the visible conscience of a nation with regard to the costs of extremism and freedom's true price. I will not fail to support another veteran or those who cannot defend themselves. He or she may have wounds or hardships that few others would understand. I am a part of the eternal watch of my country and guard it against extremism and tyranny. Honor, courage, and commitment define me to this day. I have been called to serve again. My community and nation have called. I am a steadfast guardian of American ideals, freedoms, and history. I stand my watch and defend democracy. I am the keeper of the rights of those being dismissed, discriminated against, harassed, bullied, and killed. I am an American veteran. I promise to protect the weak and the meek, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy. And my watch never ends.
That's amazing, Diana.
I got to tell you something. Something just came to my mind as you were reciting that, especially right after Jeremy read the oath of service. And I'm not someone who necessarily believes in compulsory service in military, but I've always long believed that we need a civic service requirement for people in this country. And one of the things that I heard in that Veterans Creed is the importance of a living history, of a living connection between the service member, the oath, and the American citizens and the country itself. I think those two oaths together would make an amazing, I don't want to say citizen oath, but a pledge to be a mindful, civic-minded citizen. And that's something that I think we're missing, because that Veterans Creed hit so many topics that not just one side or the other either hate or stand for, but those are American ideals. Those are human ideals. That is in many ways very similar to many human rights creeds and other stuff. It's the basic humanity and care and concern for others. And that is so lacking in these fascists that are attacking us and erasing our history.
I had a meeting with a post the other night trying to get them interested in going and trying to get a bus going from Buffalo to DC for the 30th. And one of the questions I was asked is about politics. And I said, I don't give a crap about politics. I don't care if you're a MAGA veteran or a leftist veteran. If you're a veteran in need, I'm going to help you. I don't care if you hate me because I'm trans. I don't care if you hate me because I identify as lesbian or anything else. If you're a veteran in need, I'm going to help you. Why? Because veterans take care of veterans, period.
Man, go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
I was just going to say that video you guys sent me earlier about Cory Booker and the one veteran.
Ooh, do you have that?
I actually have it in my email. I can download it while you guys talk.
I would, because I think people need to see the fight in
how
veterans.
Overwhelmingly, though, that veterans voted for Donald Trump.
They did.
It's actually extremely disappointing.
Oh, I was just going to say that goes back to the education point, Jeremy. This is why we, and I'm just going to read the way my notes were just summarized by ChatGPT. These are not really my words, but also, so don't give me credit. But
no, you're good. Hey.
In essence, education provides the foundation for a society that values justice, equity, and freedom, while anti-fascism ensures that those values are protected from authoritarian threats. Together, they work to create a world where dignity and democracy thrive.
I'm okay with that. I like that. That's a good definition. That makes me warm and fuzzy. I mean, if you don't educate your citizens to be a citizen and understand what that means, you're left with basically anarchy and feral humans. All right, we live in a society. That's why like the sovereign citizen stuff. Like, no, you're here. You were born into a society. You're part of it. End of story. What's up, Danny? You're raising your hand.
There was a comment by Yvonne. She said, if everyone had to serve their country in one capacity or another, we would be better people as a collective body. But that's not necessarily true. I mean, supposedly 65 or 70% of our veterans voted for Commander Bone Spurs, who wants to kick trans people out of the military, who, guess what, don't have bone spurs.
Another thing,
we got a backbone while he runs away from the fight. So not necessarily everyone who serves is going to come out with a good moral background.
Right. No, true.
But most of us do. And just because you see the loud veterans and just because you hear that statistic that 65% of veterans voted for him, that actually doesn't hold true. It's actually about 52% to about 48% that political spectrum, and most of us gravitate towards the center anyways.
And might I remind us too that if the vote was now, it might be very different.
Oh, it absolutely would be different.
Yeah.
Because it's like we keep seeing these rallies and they're amazing for AOC and Bernie, but like funny, I should call this up. Addison and I were talking and she was like, we need to get people more involved. And we were talking about all the people at the AOC rallies and we were just going back and forth. And as usual, she's the voice of reason, no pun intended. But, all these people are showing up, but where were they? Okay, well, if they're starting to see what's going on and now they're showing up, great. Assuming we have elections in a year, are they going to show up then? Because I want to see all those people that are at these rallies show up in protests. Jasmine?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that still, I feel like I'm probably just an echo chamber for Liz, because that goes back to keeping that education factor. Like we can still keep we have to keep these events going, offering services about educating people how to use their government to help them. Mm-hmm. How to tell them, hold those people accountable. Some people genuinely don't know that. Like I seen the videos on TikTok of people looking up your voting history and deciding on whether or not you can come to a town hall.
Yep.
I know, that's insane.
I'm
right?
sorry.
Easy.
That's insane. So
you're scared for your life because you thought you could sell your constituents out and they were going to come for you. Like,
right.
Oh.
Yeah. Backfire on an epic
hang on,
scale.
hang on.
Yeah, right.
So
let me play this.
A lot of it now is instant gratification.
Yes,
True.
It is.
Nobody
Drunk
wants
on liberal tears.
Nobody wants
a little trick that I use when I'm going to school board meetings, because that's our big thing with Defense of Democracy and Stop Moms. One of the things is I drove over 6 hours. I can barely drive 20 minutes. I drove over 6 hours to Hudson Valley to school board meeting where Karen was, because they fired the superintendent because he was gay. I did this in the middle of a blizzard because I believe in protecting our schools. Mm-hmm. And the people there said, "You're from out of town. You have no business here," and all this. And I said, "Look, I'm a part of two big families. One is veteran family and one is the LGBT family. And I have a member of that family in every school, in every county of every state, in every city in this country. And I will go wherever you attack members of my family, and I will speak."
Nice. So let me play this video by Cory Booker, or not video by Cory Booker, but video of Cory Booker. This really is, because he is a veteran, right? If I'm not mistaken, Cory Booker is also a veteran.
No, I don't believe.
No, he's not a veteran.
For some reason, I thought he was. I don't know why.
He went to Harvard and he got through on a football scholarship. No, he did not.
Yay.
Yeah, he is a big guy. I saw him interviewed after he did his 25 hours, and I think he was sitting next to like Brian Tyler Cohen or one of those guys. And man, he's a big guy.
Hey, so proud of him.
He's 6'3" and 240 pounds.
I love that he flicked. I love that he flicked that old dirty racist right out of the history.
Yes.
Yeah,
all right, let me play this video.
The best part of what he did was that he stole the news cycle.
Yeah,
and
he did.
On the national level, they need to keep doing that.
Yeah, you're right.
Steal the attention. Yeah,
right. I agree.
All right, play this video, and then we got to start getting into some material.
Yeah, let me also remind everybody again. This is the purpose of this is raising money for the protest to make sure we just put on as proper and as an amazing event as possible. Information for that is in the description of the video. Please share this video so we can get as many people aware of this protest as possible. Again, the website you can go to for more information and where to donate and all that stuff is in the description of the video. Also, Mike and I's Linktree information is in the video because we have so many websites now, so many links that I had to make a Linktree. I didn't think that would actually ever be a problem.
And Jeremy, just to clarify, I've been trying to add our links in the comments, but it won't allow me. I'm not ignoring people when they're asking for those links. So yeah, definitely go to, I think we have a text number that maybe you guys can scroll up there.
Yep, I had that for a minute.
We'll put that on the screen.
Our website.
Yep. Also, if you want to get in touch with Liz, if anything regarding education, also Defense of Democracy. I don't have your information though. In our channel, Liz's
defenseofdemocracy.org.
Okay, so Liz's Linktree is also in our channel page. If you guys want any information on that, because she has people nationwide. I mean, these are nationwide organizations that can help you. So, all right, let me play this video, and then we'll get into some of this other stuff that we have lined up for you.
Harry Hirschberg, I'm the Senior Vice Commander of Disabled American Veterans, and I don't understand why any veteran or any currently serving military person has anything good to say about this person. But the amazing thing is 65% of veterans voted for him. I don't get it. Because like you said, it's not a right or a left thing, it's a right or a wrong thing. We have to get the message to those veterans, and veterans should not be voting for this type of government that we have right now.
What blows me away about veterans in New Jersey is they come home and they keep serving like you are. They keep serving other veterans, they keep volunteering in their community, and they keep leading. What he is doing with 80,000 layoffs in the VA. It's like ready, fire, and maybe I'll aim later. But the way he is eliminating entire agencies, divisions that do critical services that the majority of Americans, Republicans and Democrats, really want is outrageous. And with no accountability, not one oversight hearing, it is wrong. So, sir, I am going to fight for veterans who fought for me. I'm going to stand for people that fell for me in every way possible.
You know, the fight is already started. I think that's the important thing. What's up, Jeremy?
No, I love that guy.
Oh,
I really do.
I think it's important to understand that when, Cory Booker is saying he's ready to fight, he's not. No one's waiting for the fight. It's already here. So we're going to just touch on the most basic of stuff that's been going on. So Trump and Hegseth are dishonoring Black and Latino veterans service. Pentagon's Arlington National Cemetery website deleted Black, Latino, and women webpage memorials as part of Trump and Hegseth's diversity purge. We also have this. Liz, were you going to read this one?
Yeah, it's just information of how they're physically removing things in Arlington and from the records at Arlington that relate to Black and female veterans' history. They've scrubbed things off of their website. I mean, it's like having Hitler rewrite the books of America, and I'm just sick over it.
I think people need to understand, we have a couple of more slides about some of the things that I remember learning about in school that I am terrified. There are kids that will never even hear about this stuff. One of them is something that I knew nothing about. Diana, you know about this. I learned about this just doing some research for the show.
Yes, I actually didn't know about it myself until I contacted the JACL, which is one of the groups we're reaching out to for speakers who wants to come and speak about both the 442nd Regiment, which was the most decorated unit, and it was all Japanese soldiers, even during the time of the internment camps. I was just reaching out to get a speaker about the Japanese internment camps. And they said, why don't we speak about the 442? And I said, tell me about it. I want to learn.
I mean, look at this. 4,000 Purple Hearts, approximately. 21 Medals of Honor. 7 Presidential Unit citations. These people were American heroes.
They're still the most decorated unit in all of the military history.
And, people have heard about this amazing group, the Tuskegee Airmen. They never lost a single bomber. I remember, I've said this before, my grandfather, he never saw combat, but he was training to be a bombardier in World War II. I remember as a little kid, and I lost him very early, I remembered his passion for it. And I remember my mom teaching me about things and then learning in school and learning on my own about who these men were and what was done to them. These were service members that were tortured, but they still served with honor.
Have you heard the story about Dory Miller? Petty Officer Miller. Petty Officer Miller was a mess cook because at the beginning of before World War II broke out, Black people could only serve in service parts of the military before they desegregated.
Right.
And Dory Miller was a mess cook on the USS Arizona. During the bombing of the Arizona blew up. He stood next to his captain and refused to leave his post. And then he actually went on an anti-aircraft gun and is supposedly credited with actually shooting down one of the Japanese planes in World War II in Pearl Harbor. And he ended up eventually dying on the USS Enterprise from, I believe, a kamikaze hit. And a bunch of World War II veterans, especially those of the Arizona that were still living, have been trying to get him his Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously since then, and they still won't give it to him because most of the people who deserved medals, including Tuskegee Airmen, wouldn't get anything above like Navy Cross, which they fought for years to get him that, but he still will not be awarded his Congressional Medal of Honor.
There is a movie about Pearl Harbor. It's not about Pearl Harbor. It's about the war in Japan. It's about, what the hell's the name of the movie? They actually did a scene. I didn't know that was a real thing.
Cuba Gooding Jr. played Dory Miller in Pearl Harbor, if you ever watched Pearl Harbor.
Ben Affleck situation. I won't call it.
But no, there's another movie, Pearl Harbor movie, I believe, where they use that scene. Oh,
I
yeah,
am.
but that
He's
that's
famously in
incredible.
almost all the old ones too.
That's
You'll
awesome.
see him but briefly.
So how
there.
hilarious is that? Or not hilarious, but ironic. That actually feeds into what I was going to say is you see this person, this hero showing up in movies, and all these white people, all these military buffs, all these Americans loving these movies growing up, were cheering for that person that they won't give the Medal of Honor to. And
Do you-
what that blows my mind is how come the people who this country have tortured and disrespected the most. We're talking about Black people, Japanese people, indigenous people. We're talking about the Navajo code talkers. And they're the ones that serve the hardest with the most respect and love for this country.
Do you
Why?
know who the first person was to die for our country before that was actually the cause of the Revolutionary War? The very first person was a black person, Crispian.
Yep, Crispian.
Atticus Crispian, I think was his name.
I
I
love
might
that
be
name.
mixing up my details, but he was the very first person in Boston to get shot by the Redcoats.
Correct.
And that's what kicked off the whole Revolutionary War and gave us our country. So it's due to a black person that we have a free country.
I
And
think,
Crazy.
I'll be damned as an educator that I'm going to let that history be wiped out.
Right?
and I think,
Life.
oh, Jasmine, what's up?
I was gonna say, Liz, I wanted to talk about. I think we were talking about it briefly the other day about the Harriet Tubman thing when they took down her page and they put
Yeah,
up bullshit
I was gonna say that.
black-white cooperation. I'm like, whose feelings are hurt about the fact that she fought for her freedom and for other people's freedom? Like, I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, like, why
It's
are
the same mentality as, well, black people really benefited from slavery. They came
Oh
away
my
with
God.
skills. You know,
Oh,
You know what?
has to be wiped out. That's what we need to erase in this country, not our history.
No, I agree. So I think we
We need to get rid of the Confederate treasonous crap.
yep.
Oh, for
Because that's
sure.
still taught in the history books, and we need
Yep.
to erect real statues like Dory Miller, who's the guy that I just read about, Edward, I think his name is, another black man that served under the NAACP for years helping veterans. You got the code talkers, you got Ira Hayes. Ira Hayes, who wrote, there's a statue of him in the middle of DC raising the flag at Iwo Jima.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I
he
like
was
this.
forgotten about and died from drinking.
I love the code talker story because that's actually we wouldn't have won world. We wouldn't have
Nope.
won. We would not have won.
And you know what? Every single one of those people who served and did that amazing work, which cannot be celebrated enough, should have all been like, nope.
And let's not forget about our women veterans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Let me
definitely.
tell
Women
you, if it
veterans.
wasn't for women, who do you think was staffing the hospitals when all of the men were dying by the millions? If it wasn't for women, not one of the service members that survived that war or any war
Or
would be
dressing
here
up as men to join and serve as men
Yeah, that's as
during
old
the
as
Civil
the
War,
Revolutionary
Revolutionary War, Vietnam War, World War II. They did that. They
Yep. We had Laura High on, and she was talking about her father, who was a Polish Nazi hunter,
Her
essentially.
grandfather.
How, and you look into that history, and women were just shaving their heads and marching into town right next to the men.
And now you're
I-
finally starting to hear about the 688. You're starting to hear about Patton's favorite tank battalion was a black battalion of
Well, we
tanks,
were
and they were
starting to
given
hear about it.
crappy ass equipment, and they
Liz.
We were
conquered what they
starting to
needed.
hear about it, and that's why
Then we
this whole
stopped the woke.
concept of DEI is so important, and it is not harmful like the naysayers like to
No.
put out there. But we
No.
were getting better at sharing accurate and more full information, and that unfortunately pissed some people off, and now they're fighting to oh well, we won't talk about it at all.
I'm going to put up an image that explains why they're afraid of DEI. Because the idea of a military that is not white and male terrifies Republicans and a vast majority of white males in this country. The idea that there are women who could kick their ass terrifies them. The idea that there are black people that could kick their ass scares them. The idea that there are
And don't
trans
forget-
people that could destroy them terrifies them.
And that's
Don't
what
forget
was
that
the goalpost.
they've deported over 92,000 veterans since Trump's first term.
Yep.
Yeah.
92,000 veterans have been deported.
So they
After
could
they
serve,
served
but they can't be
this
here.
country,
Right.
they're gone.
And I think
Yep.
it's
And-
important that
And we
veterans.
turned our backs on our interpreters and everything over in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I forgot
Yep.
about that.
And they're now being, the ones that actually made it here are now being looked at and being deported.
Well, because they're eating the cats and the dogs, right? Is that
Yeah.
Only
That's not
No.
them. That's not them. That
Dude,
was,
ICE is in my city, and I live in a city of 35,000 people in Pennsylvania, and I know for a fact now that ICE is in my city.
Hold
'cause
on,
they
I'm trying to
yanked
give
some guy
Tom a
off the
high
street.
five.
Yeah, Tom,
Yeah.
go ahead,
What's
please.
up?
Sorry.
Oh no, I just don't want to interrupt or anything. So
No,
it really started with when they overturned Roe versus Wade.
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Their problem is that they don't want the white race to dwindle down.
White.
absolutely correct. Yep.
Well, that's the
And
great
Wasn't a
replacement
thing until the
theory.
Civil
That's
War.
the racehorse theory. That's eugenics.
It's not even about just white people. They don't even want mixing of the races. These people are so goddamn stupid, excuse my language, that they honestly think that if they don't do anything, that eventually we'll just all be brown. I mean,
It's not even just
Which
that.
we already are.
It's not even
Right,
that.
we're just-
FYI.
but I
It's
mean,
not even that. It's
What
the
is it?
fact that they're afraid to experience what marginalized people experience in this country.
They don't
Right.
want but okay, first of all,
Yeah.
as
Go ahead.
a black woman, I can tell you what they are scared of.
Please,
What they
please
are
do.
scared of is getting the treatment that they gave
Yes.
to us. They
Yes.
are lucky. All we want is equality and not revenge.
Well, you're right, because that's that
Isn't
phrase
that the
like,
truth,
what's
though?
wrong with minorities? Do they get treated poorly? Are you
There
afraid
was
to
a
be a
woman that
minority?
shouted, Jasmine, during the BLM protests, there was a woman that shouted that and said, "You better just be glad that we're not looking for revenge."
Yep.
And
And-
I was like, yes, say it like it is, because you are exactly right.
Because
That is
because
what
we-
fear is.
they don't understand that violence is a white supremacy tactic.
Yep.
So why would marginalized people try to pull the same tactic that white supremacists pull on them?
Because what's
Because they
fascinating,
demonize, they treat people of color like animals because they see them as wild beasts. That is exactly how they
which is
characterize them. Which is why you see mugshots of people who have been slain by the
Yep.
police and not a
Yes.
picture of them with their families, like somebody
Yep.
else who may have murdered
Exactly,
somebody
Jasmine.
else's family who happens to be
Crazy.
white. Like,
That goes
Remember
to what-
others.
that goes to
Jasmine,
what
this is
Jeremy was
why
saying.
CRT is so critical
Yep.
for this.
Yes, thank you.
It is not to make people embarrassed or ashamed or anything else, but we need to have a better understanding of where we came from. And we came from that, let's build this country up on the backs of slaves, by the way, but also let's build it up by demonizing an entire group of people so that we can control them.
Well,
And
Jeremy,
that's
Group
wrong.
that we don't like. Let's
you're spot
let's
on.
call
Jeremy said it.
people sexual deviants. Let's call
Yep.
black people criminals.
So
Let's call Latinos gang
drug,
members.
whatever.
Let's call Muslims terrorists.
Yep.
Let's call the other something to go after.
Because they don't, the fundamental fault of white supremacy is they don't define themselves by any quantifiable, measurable quality.
Yeah.
They happen to be the lightest skin humans, and that somehow means that they have this intangible betterness.
Which
And
is a
when they don't
weakness.
want the races to
It's
mix,
a
it's because they
weakness.
want a worker race, they want a this race, they want that.
no, because
If you
no,
were
you
totally
said
white,
it's a
you'd be
weakness,
allergic to
but
the sun.
I also wanted to say that, like, yeah, everyone else adapted to their environments, but also the white race, the Europeans had to be taught how to bathe
Yep,
by the people they were enslaving.
yep.
And when they bathed, in medieval times, they all used the same bath, and the man went first, and the wife was the last person to go.
It's so
Why
true.
do you think the bubonic plague happened?
Well, I
And
mean,
that's
we
we're
can have
doing
that
the-
discussion one day. I
with
blame that squarely on religion,
Monkeypox
but
right
still.
now.
All right, so we got like 15 minutes left. I do want to definitely talk about the protest.
Yes,
Like, what do
yes.
we have lined up so
Okay.
far? What
So
all have we
we're going to
talked
shut
about?
up and let all of you talk about it.
First, I did make a slide real quick. We do have a special guest MC. This is all firmed up from what I'm understanding.
It is.
So yeah, and again, if you guys want to donate, you can text veteran1 to 53555. That goes directly towards the protest, covering costs, transportation for anybody that we need to bring there, anything like that. So we have a lot to cover, but we are working hard to make this a very special event. And also, again, Mike and I will be there. We do want to live stream the whole event. We are working on a way to do a podcast, though, instead of an actual live stream. I don't know.
Him and I have ideas separately. We just haven't sat down, and we're going to do that soon.
Right, mentally,
You're going to
work.
Do a celebrity deathmatch style?
Yeah, in my head, it's going to work.
Watch ET and do the same thing he did.
Well, let's talk about the protest.
I have to say, too, that you have some pretty loyal followers. A lot of them comment constantly and all that kind of stuff. Please help these guys to get to DC, because they are the ones that we are leaning on to bring this big blast out on the day of the event.
Yeah, and you might see me on the news.
Yep, I've been connected with them for probably.
We're approaching 2, maybe.
Yeah, and
2 weeks.
They're the guys, and we need them there. And so dig deep, find a way to donate to our rally, because it's so important, and we don't have any big funders. There are no big organizations that are footing the bill for this.
Nope. Soros
but also
isn't involved.
Throw a little bit. Let's see, which way do I point?
Yeah, I do that all the
Doesn't
time.
matter.
I'm terrible.
If you want to donate to us, we have all of our information in the link tree, which is in the description of the video.
Thank you, Amanda.
You all have stepped up for us over the past year and a half. And again, the donations is a lot of the reason why we continue going. I mean, there were some months I couldn't even afford to pay for all the subscriptions I need to keep this podcast going. You know what I mean? So
don't forget, we're going to be donating to charities once we're done paying for everything.
Good point.
Yeah.
Puppy.
Sorry. Go ahead. The puppy has the floor.
Yay, pup.
Say hi, baby.
Anti-fascist pup. Oh, hello.
I could just stare at the dog.
I was just going to say to you guys that Yvonne in the comments just gave you a title for your particular fundraiser, DC or Bust.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, okay.
I do want to say though, guys, we've been successful in raising, for our next step, but we definitely have to move on to our next goal.
Yes.
Any amount really does help. I know that some people have to wait for paydays. I do too. I literally take money on my paycheck and it goes directly towards this because I believe in this. And I mean, I don't know if you guys want to do this, but I'm going to talk about why I'm passionate about this project.
Yes, that's what we're doing. That's this section right now.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate because of this one. Well, hopefully he's next to me. On my screen, he's sitting next to me.
He is.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate because of this one right here.
That way.
Because he does things selflessly and without thinking, and although sometimes there are consequences to the action, it's usually out of a selfless and empathetic manner.
Easily forgivable.
So
thank you,
I just want to be there for him, and I can't sit down and look at the way the world is falling apart and leave that there for my stepdaughter, for our future children, anything. I just don't believe that this is what America should have ever looked like. And to be quite frank, America was never great. And the only way America can be great is if we embrace the diversity that exists in it already.
Why can't someone run under the platform of "Let's Make America Great"?
Finally.
Why is that offensive? Why is it so offensive to
someone
people?
ruined anything along those lines?
Pretty much.
Yeah. It would be nice if people just weren't such assholes. I mean, how hard is that? Am I asking too much? Can people just be a little bit nicer? But no.
Fear makes people do pretty strange things.
Well, there's a reason the most virulent organizations in history have always used ignorance and fear in conjunction to control people. That's the tactic. When you have people that don't know and they're afraid, they act like instinctual animals and protect themselves and their young. Now, they tend to make wrong decisions, but
if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. And most people don't understand that the Nazis actually came here back before World War II to study the racism that was going on in our country. And they thought it was way worse than what they wanted to do.
They were like,
I have a
Yeah,
video
you guys
I
are
forgot
too
about.
much.
They
Guys.
they were offended by the fact that they didn't use anesthesia on the people of color. They were offended by that, but didn't use gas chambers.
Wait,
Just-
and I
Yeah,
love how
That's
the
fucking crazy.
story is, well, the casual racism is, well, they thought black people
Yes.
didn't feel pain. What they really mean to say is they didn't give a shit and didn't want to waste it on non-white patients. That's
And
what
guess
they-
what? That still happens to this day. It happened to me, and I was actually having a complication, and I literally almost lost my life. And the nurse just looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like,
well,
I was like, "Where's
that's
the
because you're a
supervisor?"
woman, and women are hysterical and don't
That's a
get any
whole
actual
nother show
medical
too.
treatment.
The
Full
inequities in
disclosure, I
healthcare.
asked for a Band-Aid.
I
You
have
know,
a video
That's woke
I want to play
or something.
that I forgot about that I think is worth watching because this is a Nazi camp, not a concentration camp, like a place where Nazis lived in the same community. I forgot which one of you guys sent me this video.
This was that one I came across. Holy crap.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
So people understand something. We've shown that horrible rally from the Nazis in Madison Square Garden.
We called it.
And we've talked before about some other things. As a native Long Islander, the history of Nazis on Long Island and in New York is far deeper than I ever imagined. And I came across this video the other day, and I immediately sent it to Jeremy for tonight's show because fascism has always been part of American history, because there's always been part of Americans. There have always been Americans who wanted to exclude other Americans. And the way you do that is fascism. So fascism has always been part of the fabric of this country. And wait till you see this video.
This
Is
blew me
this
away.
about the Nazi POWs being treated better than our own citizens?
No,
got
I don't
no
think that's
while
it.
black
No,
people
no,
were-
but that's a good point.
That's a good one.
That's something. I'm glad you said that because I was actually about to scream that Nazi prisoners, even after we found out all the horrible shit they did, were treated better than Donald Trump's administration is treating innocent people that have no criminal background.
Yeah.
That have committed no crime. And if you want to say they crossed the border illegally, that's a misdemeanor.
So did we all,
It's
and
not
all of our
even a
parents.
felony.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So, all right, let me play this video. This blew my mind, but this just proves that we never got rid of Nazis. We just imported them.
They
after
just
the war was over.
organized and joined Congress.
Yeah, I mean,
and became president.
In this New York County, steeped in the traditions of Americanism, the citizenry has been roused by the presence of Camp Siegfried, operated by the German-American Settlement League. Incorporators of the camp have been convicted in Suffolk County Courthouse, and one has been jailed for violation of the state civil rights law. Testimony which the judge forwarded to U.S. authorities rouses an attack on Nazi activities in America by Assistant District Attorney Lindsay Henry, the prosecutor.
The conviction in Suffolk County of the German-American Settlement League and its incorporators is notice to Hitler that America intends to shape her own destiny. We want no citizens here who pledge foreign allegiance. It was proved at the trial that at the Nazi camp in this county, the swastika flag was saluted, Hitler recognized as their spiritual leader, and the members of the Bund pledged allegiance to him.
spiritual leader, dude.
Gee,
does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Holy
By
I have to say too. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're all right, Jasmine. I have to say,
parallels
Mike and
really
Jeremy, they absolutely were right on the front lines talking about fascism.
Were we ever?
It's taken the country bad experiences to realize, oh yeah, these guys aren't some lunatics that are, putting together this information. It's actually
It's history.
unfolded.
I mean,
It is
look,
actually unfolded.
We were told that we were extreme.
They
We
mentioned
were
a
told-
couple of things in those videos. Number one, I live in Suffolk County, okay? That I live there. Riverhead is like a half an hour that way. East,
crazy.
it's not that bad. The fact that there was a German Nazi settlement league, what the shit kind of colonialism is that? That was like pre-Nazi Nazi stuff. Holy crap.
There was a large pro-Nazi movement in the 1930s.
There was a
Another-
U-boat. The Nazi
As a
U-boat that
result-
landed off the coast here. So.
As a result of the Olympics, because Hitler poured all their money into Berlin. So when all the Americans and everybody went to Berlin, they were like, oh my God, these Nazis know what they're doing. Everything's amazing, because it was during the Great Depression. Yeah, propaganda.
It's a
Again,
facade.
propaganda works. Propaganda works.
One other thing dealing with Liz and I's groups that we deal with in education is the fact that most people don't understand is very first thing the Nazis did when they got into power, even before Hitler, Hitler was on the rise, is they went after immigrants and they went after LGBT people.
Yep.
The very first people they jailed were LGBT people. They put pink triangles on them, sent them to prisons. The last people ever released were LGBT people. They didn't get released from the concentration camps. They went from prison to concentration camps, back to prison, and didn't get released till 1967.
And wait, what was their crime? Being gay.
Being gay. Or trans. Or trans, because the institute they went after, where they started the first book burnings and murders, was the Hirschfeld Institute.
Dude, it's all projection. You know, the parallels is crazy, because a lot of high-ranking Nazi officials, the men, were gay.
read the head of the SS before Hitler started really going after gay people was a gay man.
Yeah.
And he was murdered so that none of his loyalists would rescue him or save him or anything.
So, and I think a lot of your followers, are pretty in tune to what's going on. But for anybody that starts watching this podcast, I'll give you an example of where we've come, right? Where we are right now, how bad it is. There was national controversy because one of the Moms for Liberty branches out in, I want to say it was either in Indiana or Illinois, in their newsletter actually quoted Hitler saying, if you something, and I'm not going to
control the education of the kids, you control the future.
You control the children, you control the future.
He actually said the word, I'm going to quote Joseph Goebbels.
That is where we're coming from, where somebody has lost their focus on what being a real American is, and they're quoting people that were for Nazism.
I think the problem is America has always been, I'm not going to wax poetic here, but America, unfortunately, was founded in the worst possible way and turned into a place that could have provided promise to everyone, right? We've historically let a lot of people in. Unfortunately, we've let them in so we could use them for cheap labor, and still do. But in general, this is a country that is not made up of predominantly one race, ethnicity, all of that. We got it all. And that has always let it be very easy for fascists to take control of the narrative, because there's always been an other next door to you. Okay, what Germany did was say those Jews that live next door to you, they're the enemy. Okay, that was it. Here it's all of those shades of brown that live around you, they're your enemy. And it's been very easy for fascists to do that.
One of my history teachers, I remember the most impactful thing, because I love history. He said, the greatest thing about our country isn't the atrocities of the past. It's the ideals that were instilled at the beginning, and that our Constitution is written in pencil. It's also the biggest danger, and why we need to stay guarded to make sure we're always moving forward to a better future.
Amen to
that. I want to give some time to, Tom and Jasmine and Diana to really talk about what people can do to help. Obviously donations, but are there other ways? We all know not everyone could donate. One of the reasons we started with the idea of going to protests, other than to participate in them, was to be able to provide an experience for people who couldn't go to them. So what can people do? Are there other things?
Campaign, and then I'll hand it over to Tom and Jasmine. Our side campaign is to go to your local VA. Wherever you are in the country, this isn't a 50-51 thing. This is you going to your local VA, no matter where it is. And there's many of them in many states. Go to your local VA, stand out on the sidewalk with a sign that says #We love our VA, or we love our VA healthcare workers. Jesse. And don't forget my favorite, which is at least trans people don't have bone spurs.
That's a good
so
one.
good.
That's our
That is
science
so
side
good.
campaign.
We got to make shirts with that. That's a good one.
I know a way before
pretty
Jasmine and Tom take over real quick. I just want to tell people like the biggest way you can help us right now is if you know somebody that is a veteran or even active duty members, give them the information we're trying to share because our reach is very limited, but word of mouth travels very fast. And through the power of social media, we are all interconnected in one way, shape, or form. So you could share this video. You could share the website, thefightagainstfascism.org. Any of the information that we provided in this show, you can share with veterans to let them know that we are pissed off and we are fighting back. And we will be in D.C. on April 30th, regardless of what happens in the next few weeks.
And I'm
or
sure
couple weeks.
Jasmine will tell you what areas we need speakers too. So you can
Oh,
help
okay,
us
yeah.
reach those groups to get those speakers.
Go ahead, babe.
Oh, you want me to speak?
I
That's great.
handle the administrative stuff.
I can tell you guys are married.
You would like to have your spotlight. This is your baby.
Yep,
Yeah.
Thomas, tell us about your passion, man.
All right, so in 2016, I voted against my best interest. And I thought I was, doing the right thing and I was patriotic, all this crap that, that is spilled to you and lied to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn the hard way. And in my town, it's very white supremacist. And it didn't matter that I was a veteran. I still had to get jumped by people to understand that, hey, MAGA is not your friend.
Yeah.
And MAGA does not support all veterans. If you don't look like them, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
You're not one of them. And as I started to realize that, hey, voting Republican at this point in time is not a safe thing to do. And I started to advocate for marginalized communities. And at one point, I was wearing my Class A uniform out on the street. And I had MAGA come up to me and told me I was stolen valor to my face.
Interesting.
They just assume you don't deserve the right to wear that.
Well, because I don't. To them, I'm not. They don't see me as a white person.
Yep.
So the thing is, when I was advocating at one point in time, I got assaulted by a Trump supporter because I was, doing some good trouble, and it got me in trouble. But the thing was, he didn't see me as a veteran, and I told him I was a veteran.
Oh,
so
hold on, because you're gonna gloss right over this. It's documented in a certain report. It says, "Well, yeah, I thought he was Muslim, so I wanted to teach him a lesson."
Wow.
Yeah, he thought I was Middle Eastern. Well, I mean, I found out later on in the future that I did have some percentage of that, but it's just the fact that, like,
see, they knew. They were able to tell.
It's just the fact that they don't see all veterans as veterans. They see what you look like first, what you identify with first, and then they
make assumptions because it's a lot easier to make assumptions and make negative assumptions about people than it is to give somebody the opportunity to tell them about themselves, or they don't want to know.
Yep. If you
Others
make the negative,
scary.
If you make the negative assumption, you don't have to waste time getting to know the real person, the truth.
It means
or whatever.
I can only think about myself. Oh, yay, white privilege.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the narrative was.
How did you come about with the idea of, okay, so let me get people together? Because I think that's just amazing that you had this brainchild that now we see this coming to fruition.
Yeah, the rally.
I'm not gonna I'm gonna stay humble, but I've always been that type of person where I can get a community together. I got my community together in my small town, which was a sundown town, and I got every marginalized person that had dealt with hate crimes in my town to speak about their experiences.
You got a talent. You got the gift of gather. The gift of gather.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a yapper, certified yapper.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I talk to people every day, and sometimes she gets she's like, "Yo, listen, we gotta go." But I teach people every day about deconstructing themselves and how to
Yeah.
walk away from that mindset. Being that I have the look of a toxic masculine man.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym and I teach people, hey, I brought to this one kid's attention yesterday. I was like, have you ever watched Dragon Ball Z?
Oh my God, are you talking
Hell
about the guy?
yeah.
We'll talk about
So
this later. Can we talk about the protest, babe?
Jasmine, tell us about
you got
your
it.
vision.
Babe, babe,
It's serious though.
please, protest, please.
No, we
I
gotta
get
hit the
it. You
protest. We only got a
advocated
couple
the gym.
minutes left.
We get it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, everybody has the ability to bring people together, and so you have to have that want and drive.
True.
We don't follow, we lead. Drive, purpose, and motivation. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. Well,
You sure
truthfully,
started something great here. So
yeah.
thank
Oh yeah.
And I say he was making this great big explanation, and the truth is he gave me the half baked idea, and I said, well, when you got some support, I'll help you because I'm not doing this for you. I know how you tell me things, and me doing the work. So I said, get off your ass and show me. Don't tell
I
me.
think
Show
you
me.
and my wife would like each other.
I honestly
I
feel
am
like
not a person. I don't like talk. Talk is cheap. Show me.
yeah, I honestly feel like that's how we all kind of just came together. Like the universe brought us together because that's kind of been Mike and I's goal this entire time is just to kind of unite as many people as we possibly can.
We
Because
tend to
honestly,
keep
that's the
collecting
only way we're.
veterans, which is cool, but anyone
Yeah,
we can
and
bring together.
I don't know. Maybe subconsciously, I just gravitate towards veterans online. I don't know because we have just a plethora of people that have served in the military on this that have been on the show. We've promoted education on the show. We promote military service, what it's like to serve, and something that this administration has no idea about. None of them have ever served.
Or
I
even
guess
have
technically, some of them have, but
or even to have that selflessness. It's a
Yes.
selfless
right,
service.
They're
Yes.
fundamentally selfish, scared little cowards. And all they want is for them, and they want to hoard
Power.
it. And they want to have more than you.
Yeah, I can talk about areas we need speakers. Just to kind
Please.
of here. So, I am looking to find anybody in the Latinx Tejano area of veterans that may want to speak or represent the community to talk about things. There's been a lot of underrepresentation. Just even trying to find information online has been very hard.
Yeah.
I also would like to see some more Black women in, in armed forces of any rank, or, even if you are veteran adjacent and you can speak on a topic, feel free. Our email is info.fightagainstfascism@gmail.com. Or you can go to fightagainstfascism.org, which is our website. It has all the event details, the links to donate. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a message area that goes straight to the email box,
Nice.
and one of us will get back to you.
Yeah, perfect. So,
Oh, wait, Diana also mentioned the Native American ceremony. Diana, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have reached out to the Navajo nations and the Seneca nations. We're still waiting to hear back, but I know both of them expressed excitement about this. But since it's getting closer, we have to start trying to get people definites. So.
Yeah.
One of the ideas is because of the code talkers and Ira Hayes and all this stuff, we figured because the First Nations have suffered the second
The longest.
in this country because they lost their whole country and a genocide.
yeah.
Yep.
That one of the things we should, and they joined the military at one of the highest rates, which I didn't know. So we figured we'd have a ceremony before our speakers go on where they could do a ceremony about our veterans, a prayer or whatever have you, before our speakers go on.
Jasmine, somebody in the comments was saying, hey, why don't we start up a Discord? Are they able to join our Signal? Because we already have a Signal established. Oh,
We can
we
barely
lost
hear you for some
volume.
reason.
Jeremy, do you have a
No,
do you have a Discord? Because you're a gamer. Do you have a Discord?
I do have Discord. I don't know. I don't have a clue how to use it.
We're working.
Yeah, we have a Discord that's being made, but for
this event's purposes, we are in a Signal chat. If you are interested, go to the website fightaagainstfascism.org, go down to the message link, send me your info, and we will get it taken care of.
Because we do vet the people that are
right,
coming.
and do not worry, P Hexeth is not in our Signal chat.
Yeah, we can't do that.
No,
We
nor are any reporters.
Entire America emojis, eagle.
Right? Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
Go
the
birds.
arms.
Go birds, though.
Oh, eagles.
We don't have GI Joke.
No kidding. I want to
We
thank
should
you
do a
guys
Pete Hegseth show.
all for coming on this show again. The one way you can help us out, like, because a lot of you have donated multiple times. I will say that. There are some of you that donate monthly, which is amazing. I just
that blows
it still
my
blows
mind.
it does. It still blows me away that people actually give us
understand
money
that.
for what we do. But yeah, please make this event special. Let's show this administration that we're not fucking around. Sorry, Liz, had to throw one in there.
Oh, well,
We are-
no.
I know I don't have to apologize, but I still do.
No, you don't. It's fight against fascism. FAFO.
Right, FAFO. We want to show them that they effed around and they're about to find out, because we're going to let them know that they're not going to do this to us. Okay, and you don't have to be a veteran to participate in this. You don't have to be a family member of a veteran to participate. All you have to do is respect the fact that people take an oath and put their lives on the line to preserve the freedom that somebody wants to take away from us.
You know, real quick.
Don't forget to storm the Applebee's afterwards.
Right.
Real quick. I was watching the Yankee game earlier before I got on, and I forgot that today was Jackie Robinson Day. Okay. Jackie Robinson was a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
He was also someone that probably received more direct, pointed, specific hate than anyone that we could imagine, especially, at least in sports. But Jackie Robinson changed our entire country for the better.
Yes.
And what he put up with is so despicable and reprehensible.
And the fact that it still happens. Serena Williams. There are so many black athletes who can't just be great. Like,
whoa, she can't do a crip walk dance.
Yeah.
We're worried about 7 trans athletes.
Yeah, I know.
That's the whole
So
country.
I just wanted to say our history not only connects us and not only repeats, but it's alive. We have to keep talking about history. I don't care if you don't like sitting there and reading books. Just open your eyes and talk to people that know more than you about something or have experienced something different than you, and learn a little bit about this country that is rapidly being erased.
Also, if you're on YouTube, there are other people out here who make shorter, more digestible things for you and online. So if you follow enough things, your algorithm will tell you to follow like-minded people.
Right.
Yep.
So
all hail the algorithm.
Remember to laugh.
Any last words?
Please
Tom?
remember to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're creating history as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. We are a part of history. We are going to, and make history a better place. And for
That's
any of those,
phrase.
and then for any of those who feel like what they're doing is not enough, or what they're like, what we're doing is not going to make any change. Like I tell people all the time, like I was one person up against the opposition, and I was outnumbered, and I still made it very uncomfortable for the opposition, with just me. So if there's enough of us, we can make the opposition uncomfortable, and we can make that change.
And every person can do something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess I'll just leave everybody with this. Like, not only are we trying to preserve America's history, but we're also trying to ensure a better future for everybody. I mean, everybody is, included in a better future. I don't understand why people just don't understand that concept. So we're trying to fight for people that are maybe too afraid to fight for themselves. Maybe some people are afraid to go out into the streets. So we will be on the front lines of all of this. Again, Like Kendrick Lamar said, the revolution will be televised, and it will be televised on our podcast on April 30th.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. I'll leave it at that. So everybody, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for watching. Again, if you can, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good shit to help us break through the algorithm. Sharing on other platforms is big too, because unless people are on YouTube, they may not know about us and how independent media and progressive media is starting to take off on platforms like this. So please help us out, and don't forget to donate if you can to the protest itself. We love you.
Don't
all.
forget Robbie Road Steamers are MC, so we're gonna
We're having a
turn
lot
the
of fun.
National Mall into a Grateful Dead parking lot and have
It's
some
gonna be a
fun.
party.
You picked the right
eat
time, but the
anything
wrong
and-
guy.
Don't eat anything anyone hands you if it's a Grateful Dead show. Don't.
I had the
No,
joke
it's not
around
a
it, like
Grateful Dead show, but
he actually reminds me of the MC. I said it before. He reminds me of the MC from the movie Forrest Gump, when Forrest Gump comes up on stage by accident and he's like, Viet fucking Nam, man. Like he looks the part and everything.
you know, you're
So it's
giving
gonna be
him an
good.
idea to do that during the rally. You'll probably do that.
Well,
Please do it. I want to film it.
his dad was a Vietnam vet, and I know that was his inspo, so that might be why.
You want
that's
me to whisper to him,
hilarious.
where did your dad serve? And that way he can go, Viet fucking Nam, man.
All right, everybody, have a great.
Thomas, just one more thing. I got tickled when you said, came after the wrong person. I was recently on Urban Radio or Urban View Radio, and they gave me a label that I absolutely love, and it was little old kindergarten teacher that they came after one too many times.
Nice. That's
Right?
it.
I like
And
it.
and that is what drives me.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they poked the bear, and I'm the bear.
I was
That's
getting
it.
ready to say it. I was gonna say they poked the bear. They
I
woke
want
the
to quote
sleeping giant.
mystical, but it said if it's a fight between me and the bear, don't help me, help the bear.
Well, I think we could all say we all choose the bear.
Yeah.
Getting around on my mobility scooter. Do you guys know why?
Why?
We got a busted tranny on it.
Oh my God.
All right. On that note, we will end this stream. That was good.
I-
That's hilarious, actually.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, I'll talk to you
Bye.
guys later. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
so
much.
We love you all. We had a
Good
good
night.
time.